Good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming to class. Okay, so I'm gonna start with a reading again. I have been doing that lately. Um, and we're gonna start seated. So find yourself really nice and comfortable. You should have your blocks and strap, and I'm sitting up on a blanket this morning because it feels good. So sit in a way that makes sense to you, that feels comfortable. And then take the shoulders up to your ears and roll them back and down. And see if you can find just that beautiful length and breath kind of your spine, right? That nice alignment where you feel like everything is kind of sitting where it should be. Shoulders to the side, the head back, all that stuff you already know. And then settle in, right? So we lengthen out and we settle in all at the same time. It's kind of grounding to lift up. And then close your eyes. And maybe start to tap into your breath. I'm reading again from Mark Nepo's book, The Half-Life of Angels. I love his book, and been finding a lot of inspiration from it as I read. And so this one is called The Riddle of Will. We are born to witness, but taught to watch. And the watcher judges while the witness accepts. In time, we wander like two monks, cursing the journey until they fall in the mud. Once in the mud, they start laughing at their endless rise and fall. To accept the journey is to be a smooth pebble. To love the journey is to bend like a fish in the current that goes everywhere and nowhere. So sit with that, right? Just sit with that idea that we are born the witness, but we become the watcher. And those two things play side by side and struggle side by side until, as Mark Nepo says, they fall in the mud and start laughing at the rise and fall of this journey. Let's start to bring the breath in a little bit deeper. And exhale it out. So a very simple pranayama, very simple breath work is just using, oh shoot, it's so funny. I just completely blanked out. All right, so I'll call it the Darth Vader breath until it comes back to me. And so constricting the back of the throat, if anybody knows it, you can unmute and go, Mary, you know the name of this. So you got it, John? No? Okay. So constricting, that's so funny. Constricting the back part. What is it? Ujjayi. Thank you. Thank you all. Appreciate that. See, I love my community. Ujjayi breath. Thank you. I got so wrapped up in Mark Nepo that I forgot. All right. So Ujjayi breath. Thank you. And it is this, I love this breath in particular during this time of year as we're getting into kind of colds and flus and things, to help tone the throat chakra, the throat, and just as a beautiful focusing tool. So if you know Ujjayi breath, go ahead and start. And it's just this slight constriction at the back of the throat. You'll hear an audible breath. So I call it the Darth Vader breath. I always think of that. And I'll demo a little bit of it. And the best way I know to teach it is to imagine if you put your hand in front of your mouth, and that hand is a mirror, and you would want to fog that mirror. So it's a kind of sound. So you move that from breathing out of your mouth to breathing out of your nose. So again, as you exhale, imagine fogging the mirror as you exhale through your nose. And then pretend there's a mirror at the back of the throat, and you're fogging that one as well. So as you inhale and as you exhale, the tip of the tongue rests at the top of the roof of the mouth, just behind the upper teeth. And it's very soft, and the throat is soft and yet a little constricted. And if you're still not sure, I feel it when I whisper. And so if you whisper, you'll feel that same little bit of a restriction at the back of the throat. So with that, let's go ahead and close our eyes. And if you need the hand in front of your face to practice, please do that. And just taking that beautiful inhale and exhale. And keep that up at your own pace. Notice any sensations. If my body is tired or I've been doing too much, often this breath lets me know that because I feel a little more tiredness in the throat. Some say that we're also toning the throat chakra, right? Our voice of truth, our ability to know when to speak and when not to speak, that balance. Soften the jaw, deepen the breath. Allow this to be a focusing tool. Good. 5 more rounds. Go slow. Let go of your thoughts. Two more full rounds here. And then let the eyes open. Roll the shoulders. And take both arms out to the sides. Inhale, big deep breath. Exhale it right to your heart. Push it out and away. And then bring it back in. Take it up. Exhale it down. Good. Inhale, reach up. Exhale to your heart. Push it out and away. Bring it all back in. Take it up to the ceiling and exhale it down. Good. One more just like that. Exhale, big deep breath, everybody. Push it out and away. Press it back. Bring it back in. Take it up to the ceiling and exhale. Let it go. One hand down at your side, the other one straight up, straight up, straight up. And then side bend here just to warm our bodies up. Watch for the drop of the head. I will see that often where the ear will drop. I'd rather see the head more neutral here and that same side hip pressing down to the earth. Good. Inhale, take it up. Exhale, the other side. Just press. Watch the head, watch the ear, press the hip back down. Good. Inhale, take it up. Open those arms up And then do a little windmill action. I've got to bend my elbow because I got a wall right there and come into a twist. Good. Dropping that hand to opposite knee, rolling the shoulders. If you happen to be sitting in a chair, this is all very doable. Just watch your posture. Breathe. Good. Release. Take the arms up, open them out to the sides, twist the other way. Let the shoulders go back to a wide position, even as you twist. Watch for unnecessary tension in the head neck. Good. Release. Take that up. Reach up. Exhale. Take it down and roll it out, everybody. And then grab your blanket. If you're sitting on a blanket and you want to stay seated, then I would grab blocks. You're going to take the blanket, and I kind of unfolded it. That's not a very good picture of that, but I kind of made it really long. Yep. And then I folded that in half. So take a second if you want and can and do that, and then straighten your legs over that. If you're in a chair, you can just straighten the legs from your chair seat, or possibly take a blanket underneath those thighs right at the knee and then straighten the legs there. So, and then just feel this blanket underneath your legs, and lift both heels off the floor. Let me take my socks off. Lift both heels off of the floor to engage your quadriceps. So I'm pressing down into the blanket. I'm looking at my legs. By the way, maybe move the flesh out from the sit bones so that you can feel the inner thighs drawing down. If you're sitting in a chair, you're pressing against that seat of the chair, but watch that you're not creating any pain. And then flex your feet and lift up really tall, as if somebody had strings right at your shoulders and it's making your torso really long. You're going to feel these quads, and then just let it go and shake it out. Again, I want you to press into the blanket. If you need more blanket, by the way, you can fold it yet again. So maybe those legs don't straighten quite yet. Hamstrings are tight. Fold it up, make it a little bit bigger stack, and breathe. And then take both hands and press them right at the creases of your hips, right where the legs meet the pelvis, and press straight down. Whoo! So what are we doing, right? We're flexing, we're contracting the quads, and we're creating a little bit of pressure on those quads as well. And then let that go and shake it out. Take one leg. I'm just moving one leg out of the way. Take the heels of both hands and just work in these quadricep muscles, including this outer band, the iliotibial band, and give those legs like a nice massage. Turn the toes out, go into the inner thigh, come back, maybe lean back and get into that nice upper part of the muscle of the quad, and release. Go to the other leg. There's a lot of things we can do. Self massage here, right? Just a little self love to work the outer leg, right? Work that iliotibial band, work the inner leg, the inner thigh muscles, the top, and then maybe lean back and get right into this area where the quadriceps come in and meet with the hip, can get really congested. And then come on back. Lift the heels. Press your back of your thighs into the blanket. And then optionally take the arms up. So Dandasana, that's all we're doing. But we're keeping the back of the knees from hyperextending. One, we're teaching ourselves how to ground the thighs. Number two, and we're just having fun. Number three, breathe. Good. So lift up. Now, bring the front of the belly back and the back of the body forward. I know that sounds really weird, but I want you to basically move your belly toward your low back, move your low back toward your belly. In other words, engage your core. Breathe, flex your feet, flex, 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 lift up even higher. Try to find some distance between the hips and the armpits and let go. Woo! And shake that out and give it another little rub if you'd like. And then take the blanket again. If you're sitting in a chair, I'll give you an option for that. Take the blanket and move it up a little bit. It's still below the sit bones, but it's more right at the quads. And take one leg into Janu Sirsasana. If you are seated in a chair, I'd like you to go into more of a figure 4, if that's possible, above or below the knee. And then feel that. Now, for some of you, this knee's going to be up high. I think we know what to do, right? We're going to grab a block and support the knee so that we can focus on the leg. All right. So once again, I want you to press the thigh down. Now, if you start to cramp, because this is a lot of action here, let go of that and give it a good shake or a good rub and it'll settle. The other way to reduce a cramp in the quad is to engage the hamstring. So you can bend and kind of isometrically draw back and that'll loosen up that quad. Okay, so your foot is on the inside of your leg. I'm pressing my foot in. Think tree pose, think Janu, right? The hips are nice and even, and I'm going to lift my heel off the floor if I can. So you should have a fairly level kind of foot to leg thing going on. I'm going to sit up really tall and take the arms up. So right now my foot is lifted, my heel is lifted. If that's too much, just drop it down. I'm more interested in the quad pressing down to the blanket. And then lower the foot, swan dive forward, pause, and let the hands come to the floor. I find this the hardest part of what is really kind of a basic yoga pose is that we all want to just like, oh, I want the knee. I want to come down here. And we collapse the back. So remember what I said before of bringing the belly toward the spine toward the belly? Do that. And if you have to take a hand and press your spine forward, your lower spine, so that you're not rounding, do that. And then feel the work here. Maybe point your toes, maybe flex, point, and flex. Good. One more. Big point of that foot and flex. Try to push this other foot, the knee that's bent. Try to press that into the leg. And then maybe we start to come forward a little bit. But as soon as I feel my lower spine, the physical spine popping out, I want to pull it back into the best of my ability, right? And move from the sternum instead of from my nose or my forehead. So breathe, press down into the blanket. It's a gentle press. It's not hard. You can lift the heel a little if you want a little more work on that hamstring. And then lower it down and come on up. Whew, straighten that leg, shake them both out. Just kind of windshield wiper the feet. You can use the heels of the hands to loosen up the quads and then go to the other side. So the blanket and possibly your blocks are supporting that knee. Your foot can be above or below your knee depending on what's happening with that bent knee. And then press down into the blanket and feel how that just kind of changes as I press down, actually lift up a little bit. Press your foot into your thigh, flex your foot, lift your heel. Ooh, yeah, and just feel that. Again, if that is too much for this quad, if it's too much engagement, just lower the heel. That'll take some of that pressure off and take the arms up. Draw the front belly back, draw the back toward the belly. Yeah, so what have we done? We've just kind of moved this whole space forward. Breathe, whoo, and then lower the heel, swan dive forward. Stop before you think you need to, and draw the shoulders back and press the lower back forward. Find that forward fold. Let the leg gently press down into the blanket. Lift the heel if you want. Oh, that's a whole lot more work. Press the foot into the leg. Lower it down. Whew, and come on up. Straighten both legs and shake them out. Good. Slide the blanket down just a little bit and let both feet come to the blanket in a slight variation of Baddha Konasana. Now, I'm not bringing the heels close into the groin. I've got them a little further away. It's more of a yin style pose. You can take a block under either one. If you're sitting in a chair, I would probably go wide leg instead and not worry about bringing the feet in. And then hold on to either ankles or shins, but not feet. And draw the torso upright. Feel the feet press into each other. Maybe spread the toes. Feel the whole heel press in, maybe the whole ball mound in. Yep. And breathe. Release the toes. Keep the pose only if you want. And I will ask you to be mindful here. Draw the belly button toward the toes and take the torso forward. Again, I am not rounding. I am drawing the belly button forward. I have real easy flexion here at my hip. Not everybody does. So if you're feeling a rounding, feel your back spine, feel that lumbar spine. And if it's really poking out, I mean, you might feel it a little bit, but if it's really rounded, I would come up higher so that it softens in toward the muscles a little bit. Deep breath. And just see if whatever you've chosen here, you can just settle in. The sit bones are pressing back to help the pelvis anteriorly rotate. And we just see if we can find a little sort of comfort here. Watch your knees. Good. And then come on up. Whew. Draw the knees together, straighten the legs. One last thing here, come into a figure four. So whichever leg you choose, take it ideally above the knee. If the knee doesn't allow that, go below the knee. So you can do it here. It's just actually a little trickier to keep that leg from sliding. But either way works. And then again, don't come into your fullest extension, right? So I want you to flex your foot and then point your toes and flex and point. Notice when you flex, you're going deeper. When you point, you're going a little less. Good. Last one, flex and point. And then find the middle space and just rock a little side to side. And if your body allows, cross knee over knee. We're not doing cow face. We're going to keep it upright. We're stretching this hip. Just maybe the feet come to the floor. Your knees are up nice and high, and pause. Option here, thank you, John. Option here is that lower leg stays straight, and you're just drawing that one knee toward your chest. Good. Lean back, undo the legs, straighten them on the blanket, and press down. Release that. Whew. Always use the heels of the hands. Whew. They are awesome massage tools. So you can just work with those thighs and then switch sides. We start here. Maybe this is where you are staying, right? The blanket is going to help support that knee. You can lift the heel, by the way. That'll engage a little more. Or start to come into a figure four on this side. Rock side to side. My hips are tight. They're tight today. Good. Every day, right? Something a little bit different. We try to be the witness. Not always easy. And then your center, flex the foot and point. Good. Flex point. One more. Big flex. And point. And then somewhere in that middle ground, slide the knee over, maybe walk the feet out for a very different variation on the path of a cow face pose, but not there. You're on both sit bones. Deep breath. And then lean back, straighten them. Last one here. Press into the blanket. That blanket is behind the knees, possibly in the upper, a little bit of the thighs, but mostly it's protecting the knees. And shake it out all the way out. We got one more here before we get up. Just want you to slide the blanket over to one side so that it is supporting the wide leg. Now, if your knee is okay, bring the other one in, support it with a block. If that knee doesn't like that, you can take it out or even straight. If you're seated in a chair, one leg goes out, one leg stays centered, okay? Lift up tall, lift the heel off the floor, and breathe. So wide leg forward folds, moving the flesh out of the sit bones. See if you can really feel those two sit bones grounding you here as you press into the blanket, as you lift the torso up. And then lower the heel. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward. Let the hands come down. Widen through the shoulders. Let the sit bones walk back. So what's the difference, right? First we did Janu, which is more of a hamstring stretch. Now we're in a half wide leg seated pose, more inner thigh for many of us, not everybody. Pressing the thigh into the blanket, finding your breath, lengthening from the belly button forward, moving the back in so that we're not rounding. Deep breath. Good. One more nice deep breath here, everybody. And by the way, come on up. You can bring Janu or you can bring Ujjayi breath into any pose that you want. So if we're hanging out here and you want to move into Ujjayi breath, that's awesome. All right, so we're going to switch sides. Simply bend that knee, slide your blanket over, and extend that leg. Bring the other one in. So again, we're nice and supported here. Press the back of the knee, back of the thigh into the blanket. Lift the heel off the floor. Sit up really tall. Like I just find as soon as I ground, my whole body just goes, oh yeah, I got more length there. Good. Find your breath. And then drop the heel. Keep the contact. Inhale, reach up. Swan dive a little bit. Let the hands come down to support. Feel the sit bones just flaring back. We'll broaden through the shoulders. Ooh. And check it out on this side. So everybody's body is different, right? I have a friend whose legs are way out here and her chest is on the floor, and she does that without rounding. I have another friend whose legs are much more narrow. So trust your body here and just kind of get a sense of where it is. If you start to feel compression in this hip, you can just use the heel of your hand to give it a little bit of a rub and see how that feels. Breathe. You can lift that extended legs heel if you want a little more grounding here. And then lower, press into the floor. Ooh. Bend the knee, move your blanket out of the way. You might want it for your knees. You can keep it in this configuration if you have a blanket. Because we'll use it later. And then shake all that out and come on up to your hands and your knees. Again, if you're in a chair, because my one darling friend is joining us, your hands are on the chair and you're on legs instead of knees. Good. And then table pose. I'm a little too far forward. Table pose. Your knees are on your blanket or you're standing on your feet, and just a few cats and cows here to notice, right? When we move, so if we're in cat with everything rounded, our belly is pressing up toward our spine, but our spine, our low back in particular, is rounded. And if we move into cow, we're going the other way. Good. One more here. And exhale it or inhale. And then find the neutral place where the front of the body and the back of the body are coming toward each other. Flip your toes under, lift your knees off the floor, and come to downward facing dog. Ooh, so once you're in down dog, start to pedal out your feet. Broaden through the shoulders. If your hamstrings are really tight, just take your feet wide or bend your knees a little bit more. And stretch out on purpose. Stretch out those feet as you walk in place. Back of the legs. Good. Back to center. Inhale to your tippy toes. Exhale, lower those knees back down to the floor. Come back to a neutral pelvis. Press the right leg back. Draw the front of the belly in. Lift the leg and hold. And breathe. And just turn the toes out. And then turn them back down. And turn them out. And turn them back down. Bring that knee in toward your chest and stretch it out long. Good. Bring it into your chest and stretch out long. Last one. Bring it in, stretch it out, and lower that knee back to the floor. Good. Shake out the wrists if they're getting chatty. Open up those shoulders, press into the hands, press the left leg back. Bring the belly in toward your spine, lift the leg. Turn the toes out and back down. Turn them out and down. Good. One more. Turn them out and down. And then exhale. Draw that knee in toward your chest and reach it up. Good. Just good range of motion here and out. Got one more. Bring it in. Bring it out. Listen up. You're going to stay with this leg. You're going to turn the toes out. You're going to slide that leg out and drop it down to the floor for gate pose. Find your breath. If again you're with me and you're working on a chair, I would probably do this seated. So one leg out to the side, your other foot on the floor. Draw your belly in. Walk your hands up. Take your hands to your hips. Your leg is straight out from the hip. When you're ready, inhale up. Exhale, that same side hand slides down the leg. And we come into a side bend here as we engage the inner thighs of this leg. Now, depending on what you do with your foot, right? Is it turned to the side? Is it maybe 45 degrees? Is it straight ahead? I would try all different ways and see what feels good to your body. And take those arms up. Exhale the hands down to the floor. Before we move, if your left leg is extended, your left arm is going to go up. If it's your right side, you're doing your right side. Good. Breathe. Nice little twist here. Here, I want you to lengthen your tailbone. Press the belly in toward the spine in toward the belly. Nice job, everybody. Exhale, bring it down, lift the leg, and bring it back into place. I'm going to turn around so I have room for the other side. Press that opposite side leg out. For me, it's my right leg. Turn the toes out. Slide it across that imaginary table. Drop the toes. Look at your left leg, left knee to left hip. When you feel stable, walk the hands back, take the arms. Good. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, that same side hand goes down. I know I've said this a zillion times, but you never put weight on the outside of the knee. So it should be fingertips, or you should be higher or lower. Good. Breathe. You can play with that direction of that foot, what feels best for your hip, your knee, stretching that side body. And then inhale up. Exhale, hands to the floor. Same side arm goes up for a little twist. Remember what I said, right? It's real easy to poke out that tailbone in this pose. So I want you to actually lengthen it down, draw belly to spine, spine to belly. Breathe. And then exhale, hands come down. The leg lifts, it comes back into space, or back where it was, to that space. Draws in, tailbone lifts, and let's come to down dog again. Good, just rock side to side here. And breathe. Take both legs nice and wide. Walk the hands back. Find your breath. Good forward fold here. Breathe. Think even here, if your blanket happens to be there, go ahead and take your hands to your blanket, fingertips to blanket, and lift halfway up. And then pull the belly in toward the spine in toward the belly. And notice how that feels a little different. And then bend your knees, hands come to knees. You look up and then you stand up. Whew. Good. Let's take that blanket off your mat for now. Notice how you feel. Try to move my teacup out of the way, because you know what can happen. Ooh, good. Shake everything else and everything out, and then come on wide. In fact, let's grab our blocks. Come wide on your mat. Your blocks are up nice and high, and your legs go wide. And press the toes straight ahead. And notice how that brings the thighs inward a little bit. Last class, I think we worked with the block some, or the class before that. Imagine you've got a block there and it's drawing the thighs in and back without overarching your spine. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold to your blocks. I know they're up high for a lot of us. We can easily touch the floor here, but do me a favor and stay on the blocks for a second. Press the heels of your feet out isometrically. The heels of your feet. Your feet should be pretty even with each other, pretty parallel to each other. But as soon as we try to drag those heels out, we engage the outer hips a little bit. The belly tones in, the spine tones in. We have neutral spine there. And then press into your blocks as if you were going to do a push-up, or you were on the upper end of a plank pose. So fire up the arms, press out through the legs, and notice how that feels in your whole body. Find your breath. And then soften the blocks. Maybe you come down to that second level. Turn the toes out so that when you bend one knee, your knee and your foot are pointing in the same direction. Keep the other foot planted, and maybe you walk the blocks a little bit to that side. Some of us aren't going to need the blocks here, so you decide. And drop into the bent knees hip mindfully. Good. On your inhale, come through the center and go the other way. And just start to notice, I just looked at my feet and one was back behind the other one. That's interesting. And just start to notice, if I go too deep here, I get a yucky sensation on this inner knee. So I'm not going to push that side. I might try playing with the foot. If I change the direction of the foot, does it help? Not really. So I just have to back off a little bit. Press back through the hips, tone the belly in. Come back to center, go back to the first side. Sit back, in your pose. I didn't say that the first time. So if your knee is flying forward, I want the hips way back as if you could touch your hips to the wall behind you. And last one, go to the other side. Sit back in your pose. Oh, see, that made a huge difference in my knee. And center both legs straight. Turn the toes out. Bend both knees. One hand to each knee. Look up and stand up. Woo. And once you're standing, just squeeze your hips. Squeeze your butt. And breathe. From here, toes are still out. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, goddess pose. How low you go is up to you. Inhale, reach up. If this is super hard on your knees, maybe you're sitting in a chair with the legs, both legs out. Up and down. Good. Squeeze up. Exhale down. And up. We got one more after this one. And down. Reach up. Down. Hang out here if you can. Your hands go to your thighs. Draw the shoulders. Do that same thing, right? The back of the body moves in, the front of the body moves back. We're back to a neutral spine here. You're not looking for a flat back. You're looking for a reduction of the overarching of the spine, the lower spine, if you happen to go there. Both knees press out. Sit back in your pose. Either one hand to thigh or one forearm to thigh. Reach over with the other arm. Watch the head. Don't drop it down. Woo! If you want to sit in this pose, go for it. If not, don't go for it. Trust your body. Press up, stand up. Woo. Bend both. Hands to thighs. Decide, hand much more gentle. Elbow or forearm much deeper. Woo, at least for me. For you, it might be a piece of cake. And release. Stand up. Exhale, forward fold. Turn your toes back to the straight, to being straight. Your feet back to being straight. Pause here in your forward fold. You have your blocks if you would like them. Press the heels out. Walk your hands forward, downward dog with wide legs. Keep your heels planted and find your breath. Big, deep breath. Notice. And then walk your hands back, heel toe in to a more manageable distance. Bend your knees, hands come to knees, and stand up and squeeze your glutes. Get everything activated. And I'm just nice and warm now, so I'm going to take your shirt off for now. I'll need it later, I'm sure. So come on back to the front of your mat. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold. If you want your blocks, you should probably, in fact, let me grab mine. They're in the wrong spot. I guess I could be up this end for a change. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, come on down. Soften the knees. Step back with your right foot. Grab your blocks. Place those hands on your blocks. Check your pose and make sure your pose is wide enough. And then breathe here. And notice what happens if you draw the belly in toward the spine in toward the belly. Use your breath. If your left leg is forward, your right arm reaches for, if your left leg is forward, your left arm reaches forward. Press into your back foot. Tone the belly in, follow that arm and reach up. Everybody breathe. Notice what's happening to your front leg. If you can, lift the front of that foot up so that you're just on the heel of your front foot. Exhale, hand down, foot down, straighten the front leg. So in this variation, both feet are pointing relatively forward. Just see if that works for you. See if your back heel will ever so slightly press out to slightly internally rotate the back leg. And notice how that feels. Lift the front foot again just to the heel and press that heel in. So the back heel is slightly pressed out. The front heel is dragging back. The torso gets long. Breathe. Bend or place that foot back on the floor. Bend your front knee. This is going to be optional. 1, you're here. 2, walk those blocks forward. Do a short hop up first. So you're not pressing that far. And then imagine that this front foot's going into concrete. Press the foot down to lift the other leg. The belly tones in, the hips level. Try to find the center of your front foot. So don't lean too far forward, too far back. And then just lower that leg next to the other. Bend both knees. Hands come to knees. Look up. Stand up. And roll it out. Shake it out, everybody. Oh. Go to the other side. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, forward fold. Your hands can come to your block. Step back with your left leg. Let's find our lunge, just like we always do. Nice alignment, front knee, front ankle, pose wide enough. Feel the length of your torso. Draw the low belly in, and then your left hand stays on the block. Your right arm comes forward, and we follow it up to the ceiling. Coming into a twist. Smile and breathe. Press out of the standing arm. So I'm pushing into my block to lift myself up a little bit higher. Find all of that. And then exhale, your hand comes back to the block. And yeah, and then just start to straighten the leg. I think I forgot one little thing, but we'll get back to that. From here, maybe you lift the front foot so that you are just on the heel. See if you can straighten both feet. This is tricky on this side. So when we have old injuries or habit patterns, right, we'll tend to adjust for that. For me, left ankle always wants to roll in from an old accident. So I'm just going to see if I can move the heel out, straighten the foot, engage the belly. Find the pose. Drag the front heel back isometrically. And then lower the front foot, bend your knee, walk your blocks forward. I recommend a short hop first so that your distance isn't so far. And then lift the leg again optionally. Ideally, your wrists and shoulders are in alignment and your ankle and hip are in alignment. Good. Draw the belly in, the tailbone long, the sternum long. Lower that leg right where the other one is. Bend both knees and come on up. Good. Shake it out again. And breathe. All right, one more. Just like we were, just a little different. Inhale, take it up. Exhale, come on down. Blocks on your mat. Step back with your right leg. Check your pose. You're back in a lunge, but this time I want a short hop up and a heel drop slightly in for a truer pyramid pose. So as the front hip or as the front knee straightens, you might maybe see me. I'm just wiggling this front hip as I draw the leg straight to see if I can find this kind of sweet levelness of the leg. What does that mean? It means my hip's not reaching out or unduly reaching in. There's a straightness, a deepness to the pose. that draws the leg into the hip, that allows me to keep the foot, knee, hip in a pretty straight line. The back heel is dropped in slightly, but I'm still going to isometrically try to pull the heel out a little bit so that that back leg internally rotates. Then the low belly draws toward the back draws toward the low belly. Pyramid pose. Now, right, so again, first I want alignment. Then maybe I'll bend the elbows and see if there is some room to move through this big hamstring stretch without compromising the low back, the hips, right? Everything's still feeling really sweet, really wound up or really lined up. Big deep breath. Bend your front knee, again optional. Reach forward with your blocks. That front foot feels like cement as I press it into the ground, as I lengthen the belly into the spine into the back. Maybe point the toes on this one and feel how solid that standing leg is. Lower the other leg. Whoo, shake it out. Bend your knees and come on up. Oh, and shake it out. Right. So if you're feeling your wrists, maybe you reach out with those fingers, shake them out, grab the wrists and give them a squeeze. I always like that. Roll the shoulders back. Same thing, other side. So let's take it up. Exhale down. Soften the knee, step back with your left leg. Widen the pose as needed. And then a tiny step up and the heel drops in. Your front knee is bent for a moment. You wiggle that front hip to see if you can find the line where your foot, your center of your knee, the center of your hip are all lined up, and then slowly straighten the front leg. Here's where we get to play, right? If your wrists are hurting, by the way, you can go to soft fists here as long as you feel stable. You can also bring those blocks up to the highest level to give you some more space. So take a look at the front foot. How does it feel? Can you align it so that you feel as if the bone is drawing into the hip? The back foot, the heel is slightly dropped in, but isometrically, I want to play with it pressing out just for fun, just for something like, oh, I feel that all the way up in the groin. Deep breath. Maybe you soften. Did you start to collapse in the softening? For some, you can walk the blocks forward to get more length in the torso, and that will help with that desire to round the low back. Check your front foot again, check your back foot. How's it feeling, everybody? And then optionally, bend the knee, walk the blocks forward. That foot is pressing deep into the earth as the other one lifts. The belly tones, the sternum is lengthened. Breathe. Lower that leg. Woo. Bend both knees, hands to knees. Come on up. Oh, grab one block. You know, these things, they seem so simple, right? And yet it's like, whoo, I feel that. So grab a block and take it at the narrowest level between your thighs and give the block a good squeeze. Maybe your feet walk in a little more than you think they could. Right? Some of you I know, like I wouldn't go crazy here, but I would just, bring them in more than you might think initially and give that block a good squeeze. And then come really tall with your belly and feel the back and the front of the low back and the low belly draw in toward each other. And then take the arms up. Breathe. Urdhva Tadasana. Find that pose. Draw the shoulders down. Big deep breath. Draw the inner ankles toward each other, right? Inner ankles Slightly move toward each other. The belly tones in. Take the arms out big and wide. Exhale, bend the knees and come to a forward fold with the knees bent. I know that block is there. If it's uncomfortable, just move it out of the way. Draw the inner ankles toward each other. Lift from the very tops of the hamstrings, or another way to say that is to lift from the sit bones. Press the line of the feet evenly. Breathe. Bend the knees, everybody. Hands come to knees. As you lengthen the tailbone, the chest lifts. Let's come into one chair pose. I promise. Just one. Breathe. I didn't say how long we'd be here. No, just kidding. Draw the inner ankles toward each other, because what do they want to do? They just want to go out to the sides. And then see if you can lift your toes. Lift your toes. Tone in through the belly and the lower back, and then stand all the way up and exhale. Let it go. Take that block out. Grab both of your blocks. It's amazing. I took the outer shirt off and how quick I'm cooling down. Take your feet wide. Take both of those blocks in front of you. Stack one block on top of the other. Not force your head to your block. Okay? The blocks are movable. If you can, take your head to your block. If you can't, make the blocks higher. Okay? Just don't have your neck feeling scrunched. Allow the neck to be long but supported. The elbows are bent and parallel to each other. The weight of your body is mostly in the feet, legs, hips, and hands, just a little bit on your head. And pause. Please don't force this. I have seen in the past students who want their heads on the floor and their poses are not stable. So please make sure your pose is stable. Breathe, everybody. And then press up. Whew. Heel, toe in. Bend your knees. You should have one or two blocks near you. I want you to take that block at the second level between your shins. Below your knees, between your shins, draw the inner ankles toward each other. Bend the knees, look up, stand up, squeeze your block. Notice how it feels different with the block there than it did when that block was between your thighs. So inner ankles press toward each other. Maybe lift the toes. Squeeze. Try to ground the big toe mounds. Inhale the arms up, optional. Deep, deep breath. Squeeze your block. And exhale, let it go. Bend your knees, just take that block out, set your blocks aside. I gotta put my other shirt back on because I am quickly cooling off. We're gonna come into a balance pose. So if you would like to be near a wall or a piece of furniture, that's amazing. All right, so tree pose, right? Makes sense. We kind of did it when we were seated. This whole idea of this being stable, the foot pressing into the thigh pressing into the foot. Just stand tall, mountain pose. And feel that stability, just mountain pose. And then turn, you choose, turn one foot out. And you'll notice as soon as I do that, the other hip wants to flare out. So I'm going to pull it in. And then choose your pose. Down with one toe, up but below the knee, above the knee, or up to the inner thigh. Once again, as soon as I go here, I'm going to come back to this drawing into the hip, the inner ankle, right? Sometimes I can't think and do at the same time. The inner ankle drawing in, The hip points forward, the hands to the heart. Draw the front and back bellies towards each other. Find your stable pose. Push your foot into your thigh into your foot. Arms out, optional. Find your focus point. A little heavy gravity today. And breathe. Release the hands, listen up. Bring the knee forward only if you want. Maybe you grab a toe or a shin and extend out. And release and shake it out. Whew. We're going to stretch all this out in a minute. I promise. All right, mountain pose. Remember, hand to wall. Awesome thing. Find mountain pose. Turn the foot out. Realign the standing leg, standing hip, standing knee. Take the foot where you would like it for you. Hips are forward, hands are to your heart. Find your stability. Find your breath. Arms up and out, optional. That's it. Soften. Woo. And then 1 here, 2 done, 3 hands come back. You can see if you can grab your big toe or your shin and take it out. And then release and let it go. Good, grab your block. Place it in front of your mat at the highest level. Again, just be mindful here. We're going to cross one leg in front of the other. Press the back knee into the front knee. The knees are soft. Hinge from the hips and come on down. Find where you can go for you. So some of you are going to have your block on really low. Some of them are going to be really high. Whichever knee is behind, gently lean into that side hip. This is a hip stretch. We just did a ton of work here. Some of you won't need your block at all. Make sure the back knee is not hyperextending. Make sure you're pressing it softly into the front knee. Come back to center, your hands to your blocks. Undo the legs first. Bend your knees and come up. Same thing other side, just switch. Soften the knees. Hinge from your hips. Take your hands to your blocks. Each side will feel a little bit different, so I want you to be stable to start throughout, really, but to make sure it feels okay. Back knee presses in. Whichever knee is behind, lean into that side hip, and then decide if the hands can come lower. Keep the weight at the center of your feet so that you don't go into that back knee. Ooh. Breathe. And center, hand to your block, undo your feet, bend the knees, and come on up. Good job, everybody. All right, both blocks to the front of your mat. Actually, they don't have to be front, they just need to be where you'll be able to get to them when we come to the floor. So, inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold. Step back to downward facing dog. The hands are wide. The shoulders are nice and extended. Maybe you pedal and find that sweet little spot again. Breathe. 1 here, right? Just holding downward facing dog, stretching that whole body. It's just a beautiful pose. Optional, both heels go to the right. The hands stay on the floor. The hips drop. Again, we're doing a little stretch here. And then both feet center, both heels pivot to the left, center, plank pose. Lower the knees, lower the belly. Come on down all the way down. All the way down. Just shake it out. Bend one knee. Press the other thigh to the floor. Squeeze the hamstring, which is what we're doing, to stretch the quadricep. Optional, lift the knee, but don't skew the hips. So in other words, don't lift the hip. Lower that knee, lower that foot, bend the other. Press the other leg down. Squeeze the hamstring or heel toward glute. Stretching that quadricep. Lift the knee optionally, but don't go heavy on one side. And let go. Both knees bend, both feet flex. Press the pubic bone down. Draw the heels toward the hips. And release it. Good. Let's roll over onto our backs. Have your blocks where you can get to them. And take one of those blocks and place it underneath your sacrum. Keep it at the lowest level. At least for now, this is a restorative bridge pose. And I want you to feel your sacrum underneath the block. So sometimes when we do a lot of these kind of one leg going one leg way, one leg going the other way, it can make the SI joints a little cranky. So I want you to play here just a little bit. You're solid on your block. Press into your feet and pretend to lift without actually lifting. So feel the muscles work, drag the heels back isometrically, fire up the hamstrings, and imagine you're going to lift off that block. You might get a little lighter, but don't actually lift, and then let it all go again. Good, just one more of those. So press in, right? The belly starts to engage, the feet press into the floor, the heels press back, the hamstrings engage. You'll feel all kinds of work happening here. And then just let go. Good. Leave your left foot on the floor and draw the right knee toward your chest. Take your hands behind your right knee or right thigh and extend up. If this is really uncomfortable, come on off your block. Feel your other foot press into the mat and isometrically pull back. Hamstring. Whew, no kidding, right? But what happens when we engage the hamstring? The quad stretches or relaxes. Breathe. Release the right side. Let that foot come back to the floor. Bring your left knee to your chest. Take your hands behind. Take the leg up. Whew. Press into your right foot. Pull the right foot back isometrically so that leg is active. Breathe. You can point, flex. I didn't do that on the other side, but that's always good when we're here. And release. Go back to the first side, hands behind, little different here. I want you to have your arms straight and I want you to try to push your thigh into your hands almost to the point where you can lower that leg. And as I do so, my other foot just leaves the floor. It just lifts up, not with any kind of strain, but just because I'm pressing and I've lightened up that side that much. Release, knee to chest. Lower that foot, other side, left leg. Straighten it up and then push that leg away. pretty hard. I mean, I'm talking 40, 50% to the point where your right leg just got really light. Like you can leave it on the floor, but you could lift it and nothing changes. The hips stay level. Breathe and lower both. Good. Press both feet into the floor. Lift your hips. Just pause a second here in bridge pose, lengthening back in front of the body, maybe lifting up through the shoulders, and then come on down, everybody, all the way to the floor. Figure four on one side. Bring the ankle above the knee and bring both knees toward your chest. Deep, deep breath. Rock side to side. And release it. Good. Switch to the other side. Knees to chest. It looks like we're going to run just a little bit over. So if you can, please hang in there with me. Good. Knee to chest. Maybe rock a little. Stretching everything out. And then release. Take the blocks and place them underneath your thighs, below your hip line or glute line, and then straighten the legs. We're moving to Shavasana. I just want you to do one more thing. I want you to squeeze your glutes so that your hips lift off, your butt lifts off the floor, and your legs lift off the floor. You can flex or point, either one works. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. You're pressing those thighs into your blocks and let go. Whew, that felt good. One more of those. Press the back of the thighs into your blocks, tone through the belly, your legs lift, your feet are active. You can even press the backs of the shoulders into the floor and then let go. If the blocks are comfortable here, leave them there. If not, you can lower them until they're behind the knees or anywhere else. Or you can grab your trusty little blanket and place that underneath your knees instead. And let go, everybody. Close your eyes. Maybe there is just one or two ujjayi breaths in your Shavasana before you finally and fully surrender. And then let go. Soften everything to the floor. Let go of the watcher for now and just be the witness to your body, to your thoughts, to this moment. Each exhale bringing you deeper and softer. Start to wiggle your toes, everyone. If you are in Shavasana and want to stay, please do. But otherwise, we start to bend the knees and then draw those knees to chest. Roll the knees over to one side. Roll over to fetal pose. And then as you're ready, press up. Bring your hands to your heart. Bow to your own inner wisdom. Send out love and light and healing to all who need it. Namaste. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you.